So, which team is going to be the most disappointing in 2026? Good question. Last year, there were two standout disappointing teams. Clemson shocked the world by going 7-5, 1-4. Penn State really shocked the world. And Clemson made a lot of changes in their program, and Penn State completely did an overhaul. They fired their coach, and it had him for a long time. He was an esteemed coach, and they fired him. It's never worked out well when that's happened, but we're not here to talk about Penn State. This year, somebody else will do that. There'll be a disappointing team that has high expectations, but they will disappoint their fans, and that'll be a story that'll carry you through the drudgery of the early weeks when nothing happens and the rankings stay exactly as they started. So, will it be LSU with all that talent? Lane Kiffin? Well, a lot of moving parts, and it might not click right away, and it might not click at all. And then if somebody else has a really bad start, Lane Kiffin might even be their coach. So yeah, LSU, bing, they get a nod. They could be the most disappointing team because the expectations are high. Ole Miss could be disappointing. Texas could be very disappointing. Well, Ohio State could be in for a disappointing season. And what would that mean to any of those schools? 3 losses? We're talking about somebody's going to crash. There'll always be one team with great expectations that flounders badly. Not every year, really, but somebody always crashes and burns. Florida State, after going 13-0, went 0-13. Seemed like it was right after that. Kind of hard to always recover from those devastating seasons. But there is one team that's in everybody's top 5, certainly their top 10. I'm telling you, it's going to crash and burn. It's going to be that kind of season. Well, they have to make changes. You can't polish that team. I'll tell you that team later. That's my team. I studied this team for a long time, and I've watched everything they've done since their final whistle, and they've done almost none of the 10 things that I checked that they should do. We'll talk about that team. But first, let's talk about the other possibilities of a disappointing team. Which team do you think might be the most likely team to disappoint their fans? And ESPN, and Paul Feinbaum. The kind of season where everybody gangs up, where it's obvious you failed. That's coming to this team we're talking about. But there could be others. And even 3 losses in a regular season would be bad for some teams. But we're talking about a team that should be in the playoffs that might lose 5 games. And it's not the team I mentioned earlier. That team is special, and we'll talk all about that just a bit later. Don't you worry, I will discuss that team, because that's going to be the crash and burn prediction of the decade. I'll be famous and be making statues because the only one who picked it. But I know I'm going to be right because I understand physics, you see. When you understand physics, you can be more confident in making bold predictions. But what kind of team, other than my obvious choice, would you say is most likely to disappoint? And disappointment can come in many different ways. I mean, like Tennessee might be disappointed because they went 8-4. But that's kind of what they probably should expect. We're not talking about that kind of disappointment. Alabama fans get disappointed when they go 9-3 or 10-2, but they lost every important game. Never showed a lick of any potency as a team. But they're disappointed. We're not talking about that kind of disappointment. We're not talking about a team that's disappointed because they lost a playoff game, even though that should disappoint a team badly. It should. It should be very disappointing when you lose a playoff game because you're in the playoffs. You should look at that game and make sure those things don't happen again. good chance to learn about your team and make it better for next year. Or you could pretend it doesn't matter. Some places, that's how they do it. But we'll talk about them later, as I said. I think the team that might be the most disappointing in the SEC. I really think LSU is going to be that team. I don't think they're going to deliver. I think Texas. LSU and Texas are not going to deliver. And neither will the team that I already told you about. I haven't told you what team it is, but that team that's going to crash and burn to an epic level this year. A noticeable, undeniable disaster of a season is coming for this team. Something they didn't see coming. They don't see it coming now. But can we take a look around the SEC and maybe see the next guy that's probably could even fix it right now, even though it's getting late? The transfer portal's been done. The coaches have been hired. Probably can't really fix some of these teams that are going to not work. They may have got the wrong quarterback. Well, they're just going to have the wrong quarterback. Maybe they hired the wrong coordinator, or maybe they didn't actually evaluate their edge rusher. Somebody underperforms. Somebody gets hurt. Injuries can cause a bad season too. But let's think it out. You can sort of go from the top. Texas A&M has high expectations, but they probably will get good results. But it does depend on that quarterback. It's not a guarantee that Marcel Reed is going to be an elite quarterback. And they could be in for more of the same. Texas with Arch Manning could be very disappointing. Or, it could work out. Don't get mad at me yet, Texas. But it probably won't work out. So Texas is going to be very disappointing. And it's not a good time to be the third or fourth best team in Texas, man. I mean, it ain't just the SEC there anymore. You got A&M in the SEC, Oklahoma right next door in the SEC, LSU right next door in the SEC. But you're still Texas. You got Austin. You got a genius coach. But that could be a very disappointing year for Texas if they just even say went 8-4 and missed the playoff. That would be devastating to Texas. And it's not a good year to have a stumble like that, because we're probably going to be in the same dynamic for at least 2 or 3 more years before someone comes down with a real solution, or even some plaster of Paris that'll last for a decade. Transfer portal, and all the problems we have now. And then on top of that, we got college players skimming points. Is Vegas going to rear its ugly head and be exposed as something we didn't know was there? I think there's going to be a Vegas story going to break before the year's out. Somebody you trust will be doing something you didn't think they would. Some player, some coach, some school, somebody will have a gambling crisis. There'll be a gambling crisis in NFL this year. It will be exposed. Baseball's had theirs. Basketball's had theirs. And in college football, we know they're not pure and pristine perfect, and they're going to get theirs because it's getting out of hand. Will the fans keep paying for this? They sure stopped going to boxing. It just got to the point where nobody wanted to watch a boxing match. It used to be the biggest thing in the world. Big event from Manila, and cancel primetime television, HBO specials, boxing. And now, I guess you can still watch it. I like boxing video games. They're a lot of fun. I used to, we had one we played. My son invented a player, and I couldn't beat him. I couldn't beat him at all. And I couldn't even beat him with Butterbean. You might remember Butterbean. Anyway, but boxing fell out of the way. It's only a video game now. I guess they still have Olympics. Never going to be a superstar boxer. That martial arts stuff took over, and it became WWF. And football is headed that way too. It's headed that way, and that's when I bail, and I'm kind of like one leg out of the barrel right now, but still hoping that we are separate. We have a firewall in football. It's not like the other sports. It's special. In college football especially. Nobody can ruin that game. Right. Did somebody just say, hold my beer?